Okay, straight away we'll move into the lesson. So we are looking into planning the surprise. So let me share the document part for you all right now. I hope the screen sharing is visible to you all, right? Is it visible? Okay, fine. So let us look into what we have seen in planning a surprise. So I have told you all this is an extract from the novel which was written by Little Women. The name of the novel is Little Women, from where this part has been extracted, right? And it was written by Louisa May Alcott. Okay, so the story is about planning a surprise. So four daughters are planning to provide a surprise gift to their mother. Okay, so that's what the story is going on. To begin with, the four sisters are sitting down and they are knitting. So knitting means what? They are kneading. Kneading means what? Making cloth. Okay, in their house at the twilight. Twilight is late evening. I mean the early part of the evening from 4 to 6. Okay, that was December, the month of December. So snowfall was there outside, but they were very comfortably sitting down in front of the fire. Okay, it was a comfortable room, though the carpet was very old or faded. It was comfortable for them. The furniture wasn't that grand, it was just plain. Few good pictures were there, and outside they had chrysanthemum flowers and Christmas roses which bloomed through the window, and it was a pleasant atmosphere. Then they talk about four daughters. The eldest of all is going to be Margaret. Margaret was 16 years old. She was very pretty with large eyes and plenty of soft brown hair, and she had a very beautiful hands. Okay. Then the second girl's name is Jo. Jo is 15 years old, and she was tall, thin, and brown, and her eyes was she had a decided mouth and a comical nose. Decided mouth means a wide open mouth, and her eyes was gray in color. Through her eyes itself, she used to show her emotions because she is a very good actor as well as director, as we saw, no? So she had long, thick hair, but she will always plait it down. So she will plait it because it will be a disturbance for her. Is it clear? And she had round shoulders, big hands, and long feet. And her dress was very loose, so it will fly like a thing because it's very loose, right? The next girl is Elizabeth. She is also known as Beth. She was rosy in color, smooth haired, and bright eyed girl. Usually, she was very calm, and her father used to call her as Little Miss Tranquility. Tranquility means peace, and the name suited her excellently. Okay, and the final one, the last girl is Amy. Amy was the youngest of all. She had yellow in color hair and blue eyes also. And she behaved like a woman. Though she is small, she wants to behave like a mature girl. So it was around 6 o'clock. Everybody completed their work, and the mother's pair of shoes was drying. So Joe was drying the mother's pair of shoes so that when she comes home, she will use it. The easy chair in which Amy was sitting down, no, she just got on from the easy chair because the mother, when she comes tired, she's going to sit there. Then only it was Elizabeth who started. So Elizabeth said, "Mummy's shoes are gone old, so I'm going to buy a new pair." Like that, she's telling. And Amy is telling, "No, I'm going to buy it." And Margaret is telling, "No, I am the oldest, I'm going to buy it." At the same time, Joe is telling, "I am the boy of the family. So I am the next man of the family. So I am going to buy it. So I am going to take care of mother. I'm going to take special care of mother." Like that, she said. Then what happens? See? So Beth is telling, "So let's each get her some for Christmas." So each one will buy a gift for Christmas. So then only they decide, okay, this sounds a good plan. And then everyone were thinking, and Margaret said she's going to buy a pair of gloves for her mother. And Amy said, Sorry, Joe said she's going to buy an army shoes. Okay. Elizabeth says that she's going to buy handkerchiefs for her, and Amy said she's going to buy cologne for her. Each one was planning to buy something, and they planned to go the next afternoon for shopping under the scrutinization of Margaret, the eldest one. Okay, they want to make it a surprise. They didn't want to tell mom, so that let mom think that they are going to buy Christmas gift for them, like that they thought. And they started to rehearse on the Christmas drama which they are about to show to their mother. To their mother. So the drama, they wanted to stage a drama. Okay, fine, they started acting. So Margaret said she was quite old enough for wearing dresses like this, but Joe did not give up. Joe said, if you're wearing your white dress as well as that jewel, you're going to look like an actress, like that she said. And Elizabeth said, see, you are one of the greatest directors, so nobody can write a story like you, like that and all, she says. And Joe was also standing like a king, so she usually prefers the male character, so she stood like a king, clutching the air as if she's having a dagger in her hand. All of a sudden, that plan was totally revamped, because they thought instead of the bread, they have kept the shoes inside the toaster. Then they started laughing, and they were sitting very happily. So far we have seen, my dear children. Is there any doubt until this mark? Any doubts? Yes, no? No doubts. Very good. Okay. Good. Okay. So let's look into it. Glad to find you so merry, my girls, said a cheery voice at the door. And actors and audience turned to welcome a tall, motherly lady with a can I help you look about her, which was truly delightful. She was not elegantly dressed, but a noble looking woman, and the girls thought the grey cloak and unfashionable bonnet covered the most splendid mother in the world. So as they were talking, as they were rehearsing, no, mother came inside. She uttered these words. What did she say? Glad to find you all merry, so happy, my dear girls, like that she says. Because when the mother was entering inside, they were bursting into laughter. They were very happy at that particular time. And everybody turned towards the mother in a form of welcoming her, and as if they are going to help her. They were happy to help her. She was not elegantly dressed. She was not wearing costly dress and all, but a noble looking woman. She was very respectful and noble looking tall woman. Okay. And the girls, no, they were in grey cloak. They were in thought the grey cloak and unfashionable bonnet. So she was wearing a dress, cloakless dress. She was wearing a grey dress, and on top of it, she had a shawl like, a overcoat like, and it looked so beautiful for her. According to them, she is the most beautiful mother in the earth. Of course, for everybody, mother is going to be very beautiful, right? So for those four girls also, mother is beautiful. Mother is looking so beautiful for them. Is there any doubt with this paragraph, my dear children? Any doubts? Okay, fine. We'll move on to the next page. Okay. Now the mother is starting the conversation. Well, dearies, how have you got on today? There was so much to do, getting the boxes ready to go tomorrow, that I didn't come home to dinner. Has anyone called Beth? How was your cold, Meg? Joe, you look tired to death. Come and kiss me, baby. So the mother is addressing towards all the four children. Okay? Yeah, Shivanuja. Mothers are always pretty. They are the queens of a house, right? Okay. Now see what this girl is telling, what this lady, no, the mother is telling, see, Well, how was the day? Like that she's asking. And she's asking, she says that there was too much of work to do. There were boxes to pack. So it has to be ready by tomorrow. That's why today it was very late for me to come. I didn't come home to dinner, like that she says. And she's asking, has anyone called Beth? Where is Beth? Elizabeth? Like that she's asking. How is your cold, Meg? So Margaret had some cold, I think so. So she's asking, how is your cold? And she's asking at Joe, Joe, you're looking so tired. Come on, baby, give me a kiss. Like that she's telling. See, look at the adorable love of mother, my dear children. Each and every children she is treating as passionate as others. Okay, love and compassion did not reduce for any children. Okay, she's inquiring everybody in the house. Okay, she's calling for Elizabeth. She's asking how was the cold of Margaret, and she's telling Joe, you are looking very tired, my baby. Come and give me a kiss. So these words and all are the most caring words in the world, right? While making these maternal enquiries, Mrs. March, the name of the lady is given here. Please take a note of it, my dear children. It is Mrs. March. Okay. So you can write it, I guess. Write it in your notebook. The mother's name is Mrs. March. While making these maternal inquiries, Mrs. March got her wet things off, her warm slippers on, and sitting down in the easy chair, drew Amy to her lap, preparing to enjoy the happiest hour of a busy day. The girls flew about, trying to make things comfortable, each in her own way. Meg arranged the tea table. Joe brought wood and set chairs, dropping, overturning, and clattering everybody she touched. Beth trotted to and fro between the parlor and the kitchen, quiet and busy, while Amy gave directions to everyone as she sat in a with her hands folded. So, dear children, so each one started doing some work. And Mrs. March, she came in. I told you all it's very snowy outside. So all her dress got soaked wet. So she changed her dress. She wore a warm slippers and she sat on the easy chair, drawing Amy. So Amy is the last girl, no? She took her on her lap. She made her sit there, and all the others started doing their work because this 1 hour the mother is going to spend with these 4 children. So daily she has the habit of spending time with these children. So the girls were busy. The girls flew and they were doing everything for the comfortableness of the mother. Okay. Meg, no, Margaret was arranging the tea table. Joe, the second girl, she brought some woods. She set the chairs, dropping, overturning. So she was running here and there and she was doing all these sort of works. Elizabeth took care of the kitchen. She went inside. She took whatever she has prepared. She has put it in the parlor. She was running to and fro. And what was Amy doing? Amy, the last girl, she folded her hands and she was asking others to do all the work because she is small, no? But she wants to think herself like a mother. Okay. So this is what which is going on. So all the 4 girls are busy and the mother is sitting and relaxing on the easy chair. Okay. Is that clear, ma? Is it understood, ma? Is that understood? Okay, fine. Then what happens, we'll see. As they gathered about the table, Mrs. March said with a particular happy face, I have got a treat for you after supper. So the mother sat down on the easy chair, no? She was also having a happy face and she said, I have got a treat for you after supper. So after the supper is over, I have a special treat for y'all. Like that she's telling. Okay. Now see the mother is having a surprise. So what does it mean? A quick big smile went round like a streak of sunshine. Beth clapped her hands regardless of the biscuit she held. And Joe tossed up her napkin, crying, a letter, 3 cheers for father. When the mother said there is a surprise after the supper, all the children came to know that it is a letter from their father. Imagine, I have already told you all, no? The father is in the army. So the father has dropped in a letter for them. So all of them, after the supper is over, they are going to open the letter and they are going to read it. Look at the happiness of Elizabeth. Though she had biscuits in her hand, she started clapping her hands. And Joe, no, she started shouting, crying. She was emotional. A letter from father, 3 cheers to father, like that she said. So the mother says, yes, a nice long letter. He is well and thinks he shall get through the cold season better than we feared. He sends all sorts of loving wishes for Christmas and a special message to you girls, said Mrs. March, patting her pocket as if she had got a treasure there. So what she says, yes, my dear children, it's a beautiful long letter. And she says, your father has surpassed this cold season, because cold season, we all know about military, no? They don't go and stay on a brick hall and all. Only inside the tent they will be there. And look at the coldness outside. It is so very, very cold, as they feared, no? But anyway, the father was comfortable with coldness. So he got better with the cold season, like that she says. And since Christmas is around the corner, the father has sent a special message to all the girls. Like that, Mrs. March said, patting a pocket. Within a pocket, she is having that letter and she is considering that letter like a treasure. Okay, like gold and silver. Is that clear, my dear children? Any doubts until this, ma? Any doubts? Very good, very good. I think it was so splendid of father to go as chaplain when he was too old to be drafted and not strong enough for a soldier, said Meg warmly. So Meg, no, Margaret is telling, father's profession, no, chaplain suits, the work of chaplain suits father more than a soldier, like that she's telling, because the father's little bit weak, but anyway, he has gone for the war. So who is a chaplaincy? A chaplain is a Christian priest or minister who works in an institution. So the look of the father is going to be like an executive type. So his profession, no, the army profession is not going to suit him more, but the chaplain profession is going to suit him more, says Margaret very warmly. Okay. Then see, don't I wish I could go as a drummer or a nurse so I could near him and help him, exclaimed Joe with a groan. But Joe, no, she became angry and said, I will go as a drummer. Usually there is a profession called drummer, ma. So we all know, no, during the march past when the soldiers are going, no, so drummers will be beating it. According to the beat, we have to sway our arms and legs, right? So that's what which is known as drummer. So she wished to join as a drummer in the army or a nurse so that she could be near her father and she could help him. Like that Joe is telling. Because Joe loves the father very much. Okay. It must be very disagreeable to sleep in a tent and eat all sort of bad tasting things and drink out of a tin mug, sighed Amy. So Amy is telling, poor father, he is sleeping under a tent. He is eating all sort of things which taste very bad and drinks of a tin mug. So at home we will use everything clean and clear only. But when it comes to army, no, nothing is going to be that clean. Okay, because everybody will have a hand on it. So one day you will eat on another man's plate, another day you will eat in another man's plate. You have to drink in a tin mug only, the water or anything. You have to drink in a tin mug. It is also common only. So she says, poor father, he doesn't have good sleep. He doesn't have good things to eat and drink also, like that. Amy is telling. See, each one is caring towards their father. And see, Beth is asking, when will he come home, mommy? When will daddy come home? Like that she's asking with a little quiver in her voice. She was little bit in a state of crying. She's asking, I want to see daddy, like that she's telling. So Elizabeth is telling like this. Not for many months, dear, unless he is sick. He will stay and do his work faithfully as long as he can. And we won't ask for him back a minute sooner than he can be spared. Now come and hear the letter. So what she's saying, your father is a highly responsible person. He will never come back home until the work is completed. If at all he gets sick, he will come home. Otherwise, he is not going to come back because he is a very dutiful person. So don't worry. Now we have a letter from our father. Let us read it like that. Mrs. March is telling. Okay, we are going to see what is there, what is the content in that particular letter. They all drew to the fire. They came in front of the fire because it is very cold. They can sit comfortable and warm in front of the fire. Okay. Mother was sitting on the big chair with Beth on her feet. So Beth was sitting on the feet near mother. Okay. The mother alone was sitting on the chair. Beth at her feet. Meg and Amy perched on either arm of the chair. One arm, Elizabeth was sitting, and on another arm of the chair, it was Amy was sitting. Okay, both of them were sitting, and Joe was leaning on the back, where no one would see any sign of emotion if the letter should happen to be touching. So Joe was standing right at the back of the mother, so that nobody could see her crying, because a letter from the father is definitely going to be emotional, right? Particularly when the father is abroad or he is gone for some work, definitely his caring words are going to bring tears with us. So Joe didn't want to show the tears because we all know she is of a manly character. She doesn't want to show that really. Okay. Very few letters were written in those hard times that were not touching, especially those which fathers sent home. So only few letters weren't heart touching, but all the other letters were totally emotional, which was written by the father to all these 4 daughters and his wonderful wife. Okay. In this one, little was said of the hardships endured. See, he did not say about his hardship there. So how he lives there. He didn't want to make the children very sad by saying his own story. Okay. The dangers faced or the homesickness conquered. He didn't speak about that much about the dangers which he faced or homesickness. So the longingness of seeing his family, he did not show anything there. It was a cheerful, hopeful letter full of lively description of camp life, marches, and military news, and only at the end did the writer's heart overflow with fatherly love and longing for the little girls at home. So the letter was written in a happy mood. It explained about his life, description of the camp life, the marches, march past, and the military news, everything he said. And finally, he came to his love and affection. The writer's heart, the writer here refers to the father. His heart overflowed at the end of the letter. Now, see what has been written there. Give them all of my dear love and a kiss. Tell them I think of them by day, pray for them by night, and find my best comfort in their affection at all times. So, what is he telling? Give them all a kiss. All the 4 daughters, he wanted to kiss them with love and affection. And he wanted to tell them that throughout the day, he will be thinking of them. And at night, he used to pray for them. So, all 24 hours, he was only thinking about his 4 beautiful daughters and find my best comfort in their affection at all times. Because of their love and affection only, he is living his life comfortably. Like that, he is telling. A year seems very long to wait before I see them, but remind them that while we wait, we may all work so that these hard days need not be wasted. So there is going to be 1 year for him to come back. So that 1 year, he wanted all the children to work hard and get glory in their life without wasting the time. And all their hardship is going to vanish very soon, like that easily. Because we all know that they are a little bit poor family only. Then he continues in his letter, I know they will remember all I said to them, that they will be loving children to you, will do their duty faithfully, fight their bosom enemies bravely, and conquer themselves so beautifully that when I come back to them, I may be fonder and prouder ever of my little women. So, what does he say? So, he says that they are going to remember him with his love. So, he is always having that love and affection on them, and he trusts that they are going to do their duties faithfully and fight their enemies bravely, whichever is the enemy. Enemy means it's not direct enemy. It can be anything. Problems also can be considered as enemy. So they have to face their problems bravely and conquer themselves so beautifully. They have to win themselves, like that he's telling. So when he comes back, he will be proud of every little woman. So all the 4 children, he will be proud of all the 4 children, like that he is telling. Okay. Everybody sniffed when they came to that part. When that part was read by Mrs. March, no, the mother, all 4 daughters, they started weeping for their father. How much of love this father is having on them. Like that, they try to think about it. Joe wasn't ashamed of the great tear that dropped off the end of her nose, and Amy never minded the rumpling of her curls as she hid her face on her mother's shoulder and sobbed out. So Joe was crying. Tears were running through her comical nose. And Amy, no, she covered her face and she started crying when the mother started thinking it. I am a selfish girl, but I will truly try to do better. So he may be disappointed in me by and by. So this girl is telling. So this girl is crying. No, Amy is crying and telling how selfish I have been. I am not going to be selfish like this forever. My daddy has said I'm going to be the good girl. Like that, Amy is telling. See, the small girl, the last of all the girl, she itself is crying. Okay. We all will, said Margaret. Yes, father, we all will be a dutiful girl. We will do all our responsibilities correct, like that, Margaret is telling. I think too much of my looks and hate to work, but won't anymore if I can help it. So she says, yes, father, I also have committed some mistakes. I thought of my looks only. Only I wanted to be beautiful. I did not do all my work. So hereafter, I'm going to do it, father. Like that, she's telling. Please don't touch the screen, my dear children. It's distracting. This is the nth number of time this has been done by somebody. Okay. I'll try and be that he loves to call me a little woman and not be rough and wild, but to do my duties here instead of wanting to do to be somewhere else. Okay, said Joe, thinking that keeping a temper at home was much harder task than facing a rebel or two down south. Okay, so she's telling, so my father loves calling me a little woman. I'm not going to be that rough and wild, but I will do all my duties instead of others doing it. See, don't ask for the marks, my dear children. I'll give it on Monday because the marks, no, the note which I entered, I have kept it at home. So on Monday, I promise you all, when the class starts, I will give you all the marks. Okay, I have already given the marks. You all were not there. Anyway, I will tell the marks again. Don't worry. I promise on Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday only is the class, right? I will definitely give it. Okay, is that clear? Okay, okay. Now see, she says, so she is going to be dutiful. Joe is telling this. Okay, so she says that she is not going to be rough and wild. She is going to do all her duty which she could do. Okay, and keeping her temper at home. She is not going to get angry hereafter because it is how she has to handle that. So, like that, Joe is telling. When the father read it, see, all the children started asking for apology. First, it was Amy, right? Second, it was Margaret, and third is this girl, no, Joe. She, all 3 of them started asking for pardon. Okay, then what happens? See, okay. Anyway, we'll stop here because we don't have that much of time to continue. If I'm going to touch the next stanza paragraph, it is going to take that much of time. So we have to be on time, right? Is there any doubt until this, my dear children? Any doubts, ma? So when the father is not with us now, literally it is going to be the hardest of all time. I know plenty of your fathers might work abroad, but the father's love, when he calls to us, today we have all sort of media, no? We can see through WhatsApp or video call, but at the same time, that will never match by hugging our father in straight. Okay, definitely that is going to be a beautiful moment, my dear children. And the other ones, those who are having your father as well as mother near you, definitely be thankful.